it's your girl Matt Cox from MA Couture Crafting. Let's talk about quilted postcards. So last year, 2020, I got into, I think, a quilted postcard swap, and I decided to do all of my postcards in Disney themed. Yeah, I did. I did do a swap. That is what happened. It was hosted by Sparklestash and love it. I love quilted postcards. They're cool. And people do all kinds of neat things, and they shrink down blocks, and they paper piece, and they just get super duper 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 creative. Matter of fact, I'm also in a group in Facebook that talks about quilted postcards. So it's something that I really enjoyed, and then I loved getting them. So it's a swap. So I make 7 and get like 7 back, or get 6 back, or however that works. She figures it all out for you. And it costs a super small fee to join, like $5 or something like that, or $1. It was really minimal. And then you get to go shop in her store for blah, blah, blah. It's great. I loved it. It was a way for me to connect with some new quilters, to find some new people to follow on Instagram. So the beginning of the year, or the end of last year, she was like, hey, 2020 was rough. Let's brighten up some days by sending out, let's do another swap. And this is a one-on-one swap. So you get somebody and then you send it to them. And I'm like, yeah, I'm in, because I really enjoyed making quilted postcards. Like, that might be my jam. That might be my new thing. We'll see. And I love doing weaves. So Misterdomestic does all these freaking weaves, and he can do the 3 weave. I haven't figured out the 3rd one yet. I can't get that illusion yet. But he just inspires me to do weaves. And I like doing weaves on quilted blocks. I like doing weaves, period. So this guy is a weave. I didn't quilt this one because it's enough going on here. So we have ombre strips of fabric with black and white stripes, because this is what speaks to me. Ombre with black and white stripes. What? And I got fancy and bought a hot fix tool, and hot fix really does work. It's battery operated. I put the jewel down. I held the tool on there for like 10 to 25 seconds, and they're on there. Like, they're on there good, which makes me very, very happy, because I have a project upcoming in the queue, like way far down in the queue, where I'd like to incorporate some stone work. And I bought a ton of stones from Pink Sand Quilts. I think it's Pink Sand Quilts. They cut me a nice deal, because I bought every single color and the tool, and she was like, I'll just cut you a deal. And yeah, she's great. Let me know what you think. It's gorgeous, right? Oh, I just want to eat it up. All right, guys, check out the video of how I did this, and I will see you guys on my next video. If you found any value from this video, please give it a thumbs up, give me a like, and let's talk about it in the comment section. I'm super chatty, so let's chat with me. All right, on to the video. Bye-bye.
So look at all those hot fix crystals. I needed to square up this end, trim off the excess. So I'm doing that with my Quilter Select ruler, which I really, really, really love right now. I'm cutting the strips at 1 inch, because I'm going to use a 1/2 inch bias tape maker. So you double the size of your finished bias strip, and it's worked out perfectly. I don't know how many strips I ended up doing. I know that I cut several, but I knew that I was going to use not the entire strip, so I didn't need to cut a ton of them, but I kind of cut as I was going. And I don't think I had any left over. I just cut as I go. And this is how I make bias tape. I just stick it through at an angle. I cut a little angle at the tip and stick it through, and then just scoot that iron on down, and bam, bias tape. For that Disney applique back, I did the same thing, but then I just glued fusible on the back. So I was going through my trim stash. I was going to weave it with just straight black, and I saw this black and white fabric that I used from another project, some binding, and I decided to cut 1 inch strips from that too. And this is just some foam core that I cut down and marked with a Sharpie. And I just follow the lines. In the center of that is a 5x7 square. So as long as they're covering that, I know that the postcard will be big enough for me to use. And I won't have to cut it down. Because when I print my postcards in Word, they're 5x7. And I am just laying it down and I'm playing with where the colors are being placed, having fun with it. And I'm using these magic pins that are some longer pins that you can really hold on to. And I'm putting them in at a slight angle. I'm holding them taut, pulling them taut, and then putting it in as an angle. I have some more Disney postcard videos. So check my channel and see if there's another one that you might enjoy watching. I think there's one that shows me making this little template. So this purple thing is called a wefty needle, Wefty, and they have them for sale, you know, at all the big stores, and Misterdomestic sells it on his Etsy shop, and it helps you weave the fabrics through. There's a big one and a small one, and you can kind of use them together to lift and pull and whatnot. And I just start weaving the other direction. I try to line it up with the lines that you can see underneath, and that way I know I've kind of got a straight diagonal. And now I'm just taking the rest of this material, and I decided to do 2 colored strips and 1 black and white strip, just so that it wasn't too overwhelming with all that we have going on, because I put everything but the kitchen sink in here. We've got ombre strips and black and white strips and stones. When you get to the end, sometimes you just have to do it by hand and lift up, and some you might just want to do it by hand anyway. It's a fun process if you like monotonous work like I do. Sometimes I just want to do the same thing over and over and over again. It gives you a chance to kind of relax your mind. So we are tucking and pinning and clipping the ends. And again, as long as it passes that mark underneath, I know that I'm good. Basically, I'm creating my own fabric. I'm doing a fabric weave. So after you get it all woven, I go around it with some painter's tape just to secure it. I forgot to tell you guys, underneath this facing up is some very, very light fusible. It's facing up. The bumps are facing up. Before I started this at all, I used some lightweight fusible that I can see through. So I'm taping this down on the top, and we have fusible on the back. And painter's tape doesn't hurt it. You can actually iron over painter's tape and everything, and it does not hurt the weave, the fabric underneath, because it's a kind of a low tack tape. So now I'm going to take the iron and I'm going to heat it up so that it melts into that fusible. And after I feel like it's pretty secure, I take out all the pins and I flip it over, and it comes right off, and then I just make sure that this is fused down really well in the back. I'm using a Teflon pressing mat to heat it up some more. Then I went around the edges and sewed just a basting stitch so that I know, and now it's good and secure. And look at that, now I have some fabric, and then you can cut it up however you see fit. I have a postcard. I do 2 to a page, and these measure 5 by 7. So I'm just taking off the edges. I didn't take it all the way down to where I want it, but I was just getting it workable. Then I have some double-sided fusible foam. I don't know that I loved this double-sided fusible foam. I think it made my paper crack. I think, because this is the first time that I've used this. Before, I would do a different type of material in the center. And again, I'll have to let you guys see that on my other video. It's a different double-sided Pellon that was stiff to make my postcards really stiff. But I wanted to try like a thick, fluffy kind of postcard this time. And it definitely was thick. But I think ironing it made the paper do something funky. You'll see it in a second. I'll show you where it cracks. So I heat it up, and now it's all stuck together, and now I'll do my final trim right up to the edge. So now I'm actually making the postcard 5 by 7. And again, I had double-sided fusible, so I fused it to the postcard, the foam, and the fabric. It's a nice little sandwich there. And it's probably about 1/4 thick. And I was like, why is this paper cracking? That's why I don't know. It like literally cracked. You can kind of see the edges right there. But I wasn't really worried about it because I knew that I was going to do a zigzag stitch, and I just kept that zigzag stitch at 5.0, which makes it really fluffy. And I went around it about 3 times, like a satin stitch. So I shortened my stitch length to like 0.4, and I did a zigzag stitch and then just sewed around that card about 3 times, maybe 4 times. So this is the hot fix. Comes with like no directions, just this tool, and you put the batteries in the back. It works off of 2 AA batteries. And here are all of the Pink Sand Designs hot fix stones. And I just decided to pick a couple of different colors. And when you open them, it's a little baggy and it's not just open. So I didn't have to immediately put it in that little container that I was ready to have. I had my container, but I didn't have my Sharpie, and I want to label which color is where. So I just left these in these little baggies right now. So I chose to use red, blue, and an orange. And I went through and placed them all sticky side down. And now I'm just taking the hot fix tool and I'm putting it right on top. And it adds such an extra little something. I'm so happy with this tool. I mean, it takes a long time, but it's the kind of thing that I enjoy doing. So there you go. You can also do it with an iron. I've done it with an iron before. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you again. Bye-bye.